count, or should I start anytime?
Well, as soon as you start talking, I'll start timing.
Okay, right. Hi everyone, my name is Ariadne, and I'm currently a second-year lawyer, but you can call me Ari for short. I would love to be your next treasurer, and in my hust today, I'm going to tell you why I want this role, why am I the suitable candidate for this role, and what will I do if I'm elected. So hopefully through my hust, you will see that my hust is very straightforward and simple, and this is my approach to life in general, and my approach to being a treasurer if I'm elected as your future treasurer. So first of all, why do I want this role? I am currently your assistant food and formal officer, so you might be seeing me around laying up tables before formal, or cleaning up after your wine glasses after the meal. I was also a member of clothing committee for St. John's Charity Fashion Show last year, and I contacted a lot of potential clothing sponsors and arranging outfits for the model in the show. I really enjoy working for the benefit of the college and the SJCR in general, and I would like to take this one step further in my final year in this wonderful community in order to become your treasurer. So on to the second part, why me? So the first thing you guys would think about as a treasurer is that a treasurer has to be very good with numbers. Well, I'm reasonably numerical. I did a budget for a talent show and a prom in my high school, and last summer I managed the participants' data for a career conference. Therefore, I did a lot of maneuvering with like Excel formulas, drawing a lot of graphs and charts. But I think being a treasurer is more than just, counting cash and talking about money and doing some maths. Sorry, right. I kind of already revealed my next point, that being a treasurer, that person has to be able to talk fluently about the money as well to different committees, different societies, and different members of the SJCR. So as I mentioned before, I negotiated with a lot of sponsors during my time in the charity fashion show. For example, the Newcastle vintage clothing shops, or Durham Topshop, or Velvet Elvis, etc. And I was also held accountable for the budget I did for the talent show in high school. Therefore, I'm very comfortable discussing the details of the money that I'm in charge of, and also any challenges that might be raised by the accountants and the trustees at the SJCR. And lastly, I have a keen eye for details. I was the co-editor for food and drink column of Palatinate, the university newspaper, last term. Therefore, I will make sure that all investment of the SJCR money will be thoroughly checked before it goes through. And what will I bring to this role? I don't want to make any specific promise at the moment, because I believe being a treasurer is such a technical job, and I need to learn a lot on the role itself in order to make any meaningful improvements. But in general, if elected, I will make sure that the books are balanced and the money are transparent. I will also work closely with different committees, different societies, and also other exec members to understand and also help them where possible with their finances. And lastly, I'll try my best to keep the budget flexible and open for any new motions for spending, so that it will be benefiting the SJCR as a whole in general. And I hope that my experience and enthusiasm have convinced you to think that I'm the ideal candidate for this role. And thank you guys so much for listening, and I'm open to any questions.
Good evening, my fellow Johnnians. My name is Kiran Shivilingam, and it is an honor to present myself as a candidate for treasurer. It wasn't long ago that I stood in this very position months ago, asking for your vote to sit on the financial committee. I'm here once again to ask for your vote. I remember saying in my hust that I wanted the position and experience so that I could become the next Tom Channing. Well, I've now decided I'm going to become something even better. I decided I'm going to become the next Fraser Arnold. In all seriousness, before I begin, it would be remiss of me not to mention the absolutely sterling work our current treasurer, Fraser, has done. I'd like to thank him for all the time he spent with me explaining the role and answering all my questions. If I am lucky enough to get this position, I have some very big shoes to fill. But moving on, I want to start with a question that I'm sure is on all of your minds. Why you? What makes you so uniquely qualified for this job? Well, 3 different reasons. Firstly, I have a great relationship with people in the college, which is such an important aspect of the job. Given how much contact you will be having with members of the exec and your peers, having a good relationship with people in college makes the entire process, from organizing fairs to distributing spending, just more effective. Second, I'm experienced, and you deserve to have someone who knows what they're doing. Despite it being only my first year, I've participated in the novice debating competition, Durham's MUN conference, and I write for the politics section of the plan. But perhaps the most important bit of experience, I sit on the financial committee. It is from here that you gain the greatest appreciation of the Treasurer's role, what it entails, what the budget looks like, and how general spending works. Ladies and gentlemen, I am a young go-getter, and Treasurer of St. John's is what is next. Finally, I want to leave an impact. No matter how small or large, nothing would give me greater pleasure than me leaving such a positive impact on a place that has had such a positive impact on me. Now for my promises, which are contained in a 3-point plan. First, you have my full and total commitment that no one who is a member of the Common Room will ever have to pay to play a sport in a college society. That was a promise that was extended to all freshers last year, and that is a promise that will be extended to all freshers this year. Second, my full commitment that the SJCR will invest back on you. Whilst it is of course important to run a healthy, balanced budget, you spent your money on the SJCR, and so it's only right that the SJCR spends it back on you. And finally, you have my full commitment to continue the smooth rollout and functioning of the internet banking service that has already been set up. Next, I'm sure a great deal of you want to know about my skills, particularly my math skills. Well, I can tell you I did both maths and economics in my final year of high school, and am more than able to do sums and calculations. But I think this is the wrong question to ask. We should be asking instead, what are your computing skills like? That's because the vast majority of budget making and day-to-day spending calculations takes place on Excel. An excellent mathematician doesn't necessarily make a good treasurer. But I can tell you my computing and Excel skills are more than sufficient. Now, by the end of this, you may still not be convinced. I can't promise you I'll revolutionize the job, but what I can tell you is that everything I commit myself to receives nothing but my absolute best. And this will be no different. And with that, I shall end my speech. So do remember, if you want someone with drive, vision, and passion, then do vote for me. Thank you.
So we've now got about 7 or 8 minutes left for questions in this section, so if anyone would like to ask, raise your hands. Tom.
As Treasurer for the SJCR, you're also a trustee. What do you think being a trustee means?
I think this is a perfect question for me, as I'm currently doing trust in my law degree. But it's actually, in all seriousness, it's actually one of the first things I looked at when I look at the job description for a treasurer. As some of you may know, I'm an international student, so I felt like, oh, maybe this would bar me from the job. But I looked it up. As far as I'm aware of, I don't have any criminal record. I'm fairly honest, and I'm above 18, so I'm fully qualified as, like, in the government definition. But I think this, like, being a trustee is that you are entrusted with the money, and you're held accountable in front of, like, the accountants, the trustee, and other members. So I think this is like a very responsible role, and I will make sure I'll do my best to fulfill this huge but very important responsibilities.
Yeah, so the most important thing about being a trustee to remember is that you are a trustee of a charity. The SJCR is a registered charity. And so I was doing my research a couple of weeks ago, and the most important things that they say if you are a trustee of a charity is to be responsible with the wealth. You have to be in control, and you have to be able to work with the people within the charity and the people who lead the charity. And I think that I'm more than able to do both of those things.
And you're just done.
We ratified the budget for the coming year last meeting. What were your thoughts on that, and what would you change about that? Would you up funding for certain things? Would you cut back funding for other things? What were your thoughts?
Yeah, so I did have a look at the budgets before I was preparing my house. And there are some things which I think we can change, some things are of concern to me. We spend about £1,500 on newspapers, which I think is a little bit excessive. In terms of other things, so for example, welfare, we're currently spending about £1,500, but we've allocated about £1,700. Now, I'm more than happy with that, in addition, we currently allocated around £8,000 towards sports societies, and I'm more than happy to look at that and possibly expand that if necessary, given the number of new freshers we may have. But otherwise, the budget is currently projected to go into deficit. Now, that's fine as far as I'm concerned, in part because what we try to do is we have budgets balance themselves out over 3 years. And that's fine because the previous year we had a surplus, this year we may go into deficit. So that all that means is that next year we balance out roughly neutral. So I'm more than happy with the budget as it stands.
I think Kiran has probably said what I really want to say. I do agree with his point on newspaper. We've spent too much on newspaper, and to be fair, newspaper are not, it's left in the reception and not a lot of people use it, so I would be looking into this. And then I spoke to Fraser about this, and the budget for sports and society is definitely something that we should be emphasizing on, and also keep it open for any new motions for spending in case I know that welfare and services might be having something new in the future that they can, like a new program to develop. So that's definitely something that the budget should be open for. And otherwise, I think the budget right now is like satisfactory. But I would be willing to talk with anyone who may have any concerns about this.
Any more questions? Jess?
So potentially a under-mentioned aspect of the role is that you will be a welfare contact primarily during Freshers Week. In line with this, are you willing to go through the training necessary and the training that I and the rest of the SJCR proposed to you, and are you willing to act as a sort of pseudo threat during Freshers Week?
I'm aware that the treasurer role is a very heavy responsibility, and I haven't really made any plans for myself as of that week, so I will be willing and open for any plans that you may have, and I would also be willing to represent myself as a treasurer in front of the Freshers 6 year as well.
Yeah, so I'm more than happy to attend the training. So one thing I do pride myself on is that I'm very open, I'm very easy to talk to, and I'd be more than happy to act as sort of a point of call for any new freshers. As an international student, it was a little difficult coming to an entirely new country, an entirely new university. So I do understand what it's like, what the pressures are, and I'll be more than happy to help alleviate any of these pressures that people may feel.
Fraser?
So, with the budget being in deficit last year, how would you feel, so in the previous year, the membership fees were increased by £5 a year, so £15 for the 3-year course. How would you feel about increasing membership fees even further when you are proposing a new budget? And would this be something you'd want to do, or how would you see this happening?
Okay, so as it stands, the budget is currently projected to go into deficit of about £400. But in part that's due to the fact that we spend quite a bit on a pool table, which we as of yet have not been reimbursed for by the SJS, so the Society, or the college, and we will be reimbursed shortly. So given that, we can safely expect that we will go back into surplus. Now, I don't see any necessity to start raising fees on the new freshers. We're more than within our bounds, we're living more than within our means. We're not expecting to see any massive changes or any massive expenditures. And so I don't think there's any necessity to start asking freshers to pay more than what is already quite a high fee for them.
I think I generally agree with what Kiran said, but because I guess Kiran's a fresher, so he sees that like if you increase the price again, it's something that, oh, this should be so shocking and things. But I think if you increase it just by a little bit, like £5, it's not a lot, and it's like a whole span of people. So I think that I would be open to increase the price that the fresher pay again, if that's necessary.
Okay, you talked quite a lot about sports and societies funding, and I think there was a small element of kind of promising the world, a promise about sports and societies being free that just isn't really true. Sorry, but my question is, say if I came to you by asking like £1,000 for the football club, an extra £1,000, and what would go through your head when you made that decision whether to give the extra £1,000 to the football club or not? consider when making that decision?
Ariadne first.
Right, okay. Are you saying this is like, what factors will I take into consideration when a society asks for a raise?
Yeah, effectively, yeah. And also, how would you say no, or how would you make that difficult decision? How would you go about saying?
Right, okay. I think at first I will look at like the current money that that society is receiving. Also in the past, whether they've received any sort of increase in budget recently and what's the reasoning behind the increase in the money. So for example, if the football team, as you say, are expanding to a team C, or whether they want their equipment is kind of old and they want some new things out, and then I'll be willing to say yes. But if, as long as they give like a good reason to back up what they want and what they're looking for.
So yeah, I'll give you my criteria for what I would use to evaluate any spending decisions that I would make, which is, number one, is this in the SJCR's interest? Will this overall cultivate a greater sense of enjoyment? Will people be able to use what is being spent? Number two, are we getting our money's worth? Are we spending just lavishly on things that are unnecessarily expensive? And number three, does it have a palpable and tangible outcome that can be seen and will help us all? There's no point in spending things, obviously, on things that are simply not going to help us. So on those grounds, I would, obviously I can't say well, accept or reject that, but those are the three criteria that I would use.
So we've now elapsed our time for this, so unless someone wants to ask to extend the questioning time, which feel free to. So do you want to ask to extend the questioning time?
Yeah, just by 2 minutes, please.
Okay, so can we pass that on a general aye? Aye. Okay, so any more questions? Billy?
Thanks, guys. This is a question of clarification to you, Kiran. You said that the SJCR needs to invest back in its members. In what way isn't it at the moment? What do you mean by that, and how will you? What do you expect to change to mean that it invests back?
What I meant by that was I'm not going to run surpluses for surpluses' sake. So of course, maintaining a healthy budget is important. Now, yeah, you're right. The SJCR does invest back into the student body, and I definitely want to continue that. But what I was saying is I'm not going to embark on fiscal prudency. I'm not going to start cutting back on measures simply because it's going to take us into the green. If we go into deficit, minor deficit, so be it. I'm not going to start cutting back on things which everybody here uses, simply because we think it's a good idea to get back into a surplus, which honestly doesn't mean that much.
Any more questions? Dodge, last one.
Besides newspapers, if you had to cut something, what would be the first thing that you would be pointing your axe towards?
Kiran, I believe, is first for this one.
That's a good question. As I was looking at the budget, what you find is the vast majority of things are simply non-negotiable, things that you can't cut. So when we're looking at things like insurance, things like accountant fees, I can tell you right now that I'm not going to cut anything from things like welfare or LGBT funding. Those are things which I see as sort of inviolable. So on that point, I don't see anywhere else which really needs or requires any form of drastic cuts.
Honestly, right now I can't think of anything, but I'm willing to work with anyone who might want more money, so then I can reallocate money rather than but honestly at the moment I can't think of any cuts that I would make.
Okay, so that's all we have time for Treasurer.